Hi guys, hope you had a great weekend. We're going to finish Paul Bunyan today. So if you remember, this is where we left off when they were so cold and they wrapped their beards around their necks as scarves, and the winter just lasted so long. It was a terribly cold winter. Next page. This next part is called Moving On. Paul and Babe were happy. The long winter was over. After being cooped up for so long, they were eager to stretch their legs. Paul hitched a plow to Babe, and they dug a groove from Round Lake down to the Gulf of Mexico. So a groove is this little zigzag here so water could flow through it. As the water rushed south, it made a nice wide river. Paul called it the Mississippi. He piled dirt neatly on one side. There were a lot of stones and boulders mixed in. When he was done, he called the whole pile the Rocky Mountains. On their way back north, Paul and Babe walked through the desert. It was terribly hot, and Paul took to dragging his great axe behind him. So that's his axe that he's holding. And he was so hot he just dragged it behind him. The heavy axe cut deeply into the soft sand. At sunset, Paul turned to look behind him. "What a grand canyon," Paul said, and the name stuck after that. So remember when we read about the Grand Canyon and it was like a giant hole in the desert? They think Paul did that with his axe that he just kept dragging and dragging and dragging. Paul and his lumberjacks kept so busy that one day there were no more trees worth cutting down. So he cut down every tree. Some of the loggers, those are the Elmers, liked the look of the clear land and decided to settle down. But not Paul. He needed more elbow room. So he and Babe said goodbye to the loggers and headed out west. No one knows where they ended up, and Paul was careful not to leave any footprints behind. But every time you see a big mountain or a deep canyon or a rushing river, you know these things don't happen by themselves. So it's a pretty good bet that Paul Bunyan was there before you. So people think that Paul was the one who made all of the canyons and the mountains, which are just piled up stones and boulders and rocks, but really big ones, right? And Paul is so big that it just seems even bigger. And rivers, they think Paul made all of these things. Okay? So today we have just 2 questions on the Google form. Let's go over them quick. Reading right here, what did Paul call his big pile of rocks? And that's on page 38. And the last one, Paul is such a hard worker and never wanted to stop. Is that true or false? Okay, then send that to me, and we will start something else tomorrow. Bye, everybody.